Hello there and welcome to The Parenting Show. I'm Jennifer Anderson. With me, my co-host, my friend, the family counselor and parenting expert, Alyson Schafer. We are thrilled to be joining you today in your home talking about potty training. Potty. It's been a few years since we have...
You and I have been through this, but
potty trained.
Yes, but as the older parents said, we can give that calm comfort to all the mothers who are going through it right now, that by college or university, they will be done.
It'll be good
Hopefully
to go.
By high school, if you're ambitious. We joke, but the truth is if it's your kid and you're trying to get this happening now and you're confused about things or things aren't going your way, there's nothing more infuriating because, we're talking about biological functionings here. This is going to definitely interfere with how your day is going. So it becomes a real problem, backdrop of people's lives.
So for those folks who are just turning into The Parenting Show for the first time, where have you been?
Yeah. You've got some catching up. Go back and watch the old shows.
That's right. But the second, we started 10 years ago where I was in the thick of potty training. And it was one of my favorite shows because it really was, and we've talked about this on other shows, the idea of, the parenting show is to let people know, obviously, about democratic parenting and your teachings, but also the idea to let people know that they aren't alone and that they can get through it. And potty training is one of those issues where the days feel like years.
Yeah.
And it's just a really long struggle for a lot of people. And it doesn't have to be.
No, but to your thing about community too, I would say that a lot of times what you end up hearing when it comes to first milestones with children is, my child was walking, by 3 months and, eating solids by 8 months and potty trained by 18 months. And you're like, really?
My kid's eating dirt.
Yeah. and it can be really discouraging. And I don't want that to be the case with potty training. And we certainly don't want our feeling that our kid is lagging behind create this sense of pressure so that we become feeling like we've got to get this done. That if we can just hold in our minds that just the way that kids learn to walk at different ages, talk at different ages, they all catch up eventually, but there's just these wide ranges, and your kid could be absolutely in the wide range, but some of them do it earlier, some do it in the middle, some do it at the end. There's it's very individual, and don't feel that you are somehow dropping the mom or dad ball because your kid isn't one of those early adopters or whatever. Just, be patient. It will happen.
Well, and never mind the expectations from society and the people around you.
Yeah.
Often it's a difference between your first child and your second, or, any of your kids. One did kind of get it. Right off the bat, and another struggles, and so you're looking at two different challenges within your home.
And don't compare for sure. It is absolutely a unique process. And the other thing I would say is if somebody is telling you that their child's potty trained, what do they mean by their child is potty trained? Because a lot of times what I find is I have parents who are trained to catch their children's pee. That is not potty trained. If you notice that your kid's making a face and you grab them, strip their pants down and plop them on a potty, you've been trained like dog treats to go respond to that. When I say potty trained, I mean when you've got a child who actually says, pardon me, I have to use the washroom, goes to the washroom, manages themselves, gets their hands washed, redressed, back out all independently. And that, my friend, takes years. So there's a lot of little micro skills behind that. And you can be working on different micro skills at different times. But until there's a real readiness, there's no sense getting ahead of the game.
Right.
So I think maybe we can just talk about what some of those general signs of readiness are. The first thing is there's two parts to readiness. One is biological readiness. You actually have to wait for the maturation of the nerve tract so that the sphincters can hold. So you're looking for about a 2-hour period where a child would have a dry diaper. That means they are naturally holding their urine. So that's a good sign that they're physically developed. But there's also the psychological readiness. And quite frankly, if you've just learned to walk, all you want to do is run around. The last thing that's of interest to you is to be sitting still. So, you know, there can be a psychological readiness where it's really exciting because you see your mommies or daddies using the potty and you want to imitate them and you play around for a while. But then when you actually try to be a taskmaster, they're like, no, I'd actually rather play with Thomas the Tank. So they might developmentally, physically be ready, and they might have had a little interest, but now not so much.
Right.
So you got to just go with where they're at. And if there's a backslide or a lack of interest comes up, just roll with that too. So just go at their pace.
Now, I always remember you saying the earlier you start, the longer it potentially takes.
Right. And so what I mean by that is if we're really looking at when things start to happen, like a lot of that's biological readiness is really not going to happen until you're getting a child around 2.
Right.
But if we really look at when it completes in terms of saying, I just went to the bathroom independently, we're talking towards the end of the 3rd year, closer to 4. So if you start at 2 and you start saying like, do it, do it, do it, it's so easy to create a power struggle about pottying where they start fooling around, and meanwhile you're still trying to get them to sit when they're not really interested in this, or you're going to create conflict that's going to go on for another 1.5 years before they're really into this thing. So you can start at 2 and be frustrated for 1.5 years, or you could start at 3 1/4 and get this puppy wrapped up in 4 weeks, you know, when it's really a little closer to when things are going to gel up anyways. But like I said, there's things that you can learn in between. You can teach them how to wash their hands. You can teach them how to turn the tap on and off and make sure that they put their hand under and don't scald it under hot water, and how to pump the little foam pump and not 500 times like your 18-month-old's going to want to. How to pull your pants up and down. It sounds so easy, but getting it up over that little derriere is like a whole little motor action that they have to figure out. So,
and you can implement reward charts.
No, you can't. How long have we worked together?
I was waiting for that response.
I'm just going to check your pulse. I think so. A stroke on the set. No. Okay. So, and I know they're popular. They're very popular. And for some people, they will say, well, it worked. And for some kids, I'm not saying that you aren't going to get some short-term success. But here's what's generally going to happen with rewards. You're either going to get the kid that realizes every time I pee, I get a Smartie. And they are going to learn the economy of that. And instead of going to the bathroom once and letting out their full urine stream, they're going to learn to hold it, go out, play for another 5 minutes, come back and pee again. So now they have a 2 Smartie pee. So you know, so they will start to demand that you give them a reward for everything that they do. And so and we've done shows just on the whole science behind rewards. You know, if you start on a reward system, it actually demotivates kids. And this is something, if you think about everything else kids do, they want to imitate and join society. They look around and they say, what does everybody else do? I'm going to do what they do too. Right. And adults all use the bathroom. They're going to want to imitate that. So you don't need to add that motivation to them. And a kid who is so bent on defying your will, if they feel that you are forcing them to comply, forcing them to do the potty when they don't want to, all the Smarties and sticker charts and everything else that you might do to entice them, they are not going to be interested in, because they're only interested in one thing, and that is proving that you can't make them. And so it's not going to help you with those types of kids anyways. So I have no trouble with being excited, like, high five, you use the potty, or you really know your body. You really could tell that you needed to go to the washroom. You're really growing up and looking after yourself. Like, giving that kind of enthusiasm is like, let's call Grandma and tell her you just had your first bowel movement. You know,
Grandmas love that. Grandmas love those calls.
Let's put it on social media now. So no Insta stories, please. But so there's nothing wrong with being truly enthusiastic. Right. But the idea of manipulation, that's where it's going to backfire on you.
All right. My child never has accidents at school, but is still having them at home. I'm infuriated.
Yeah. So the fact that the mom says that the feeling she has is infuriation, it's actually a really important piece of that email. And thank you, people, for sending these questions into us. So when we're trying to figure out the usefulness of a child's behavior, you know, we've talked a lot about the goals of a child's misbehavior or how they stand to serve a benefit. There's really 4 benefits. It's either attention, power, revenge, or avoidance. And how you figure out which of the 4 benefits or goals of the child is you first start with with the parent's emotionality behind it. And if you're irritated and annoyed, chances are it's attention. If you're mad, it's likely going to be about power. If you feel hurt, it's about revenge. So the feeling infuriated, you can tell she's like, this is intentional.
Yeah.
This is being
done on me.
This is being done to me. They are pooing on me, really. Like that's
right.
You know. And so I think she's quite right that this is a piece about her. And the fact that they don't do it at school tells me that that dynamic does not play out. So this child can train, can maintain bowel body control, chooses not to. Chooses not to. Why? At home, in those social settings and dynamics, because she's engaged in a power struggle with mom about this. And she may be retaliating against some other wrongdoing against mom. So how do we get out of that dynamic then? So the first thing is to try to be uninfuriated, even if you have to fake it till you make it, because kids kind of liking that they're like, ha ha ha, she doesn't know how to, she can't figure this one out. I've stymied her. I love it.
Right.
You know, she can force me to eat this crappy food and force me to put away my iPad, but she can't figure out this one. I got the upper hand on this. And so they like feeling that kind of powerfulness over you. So I would stop being upset about it. And then the second thing is I would just go back to exactly like it was when you were doing potty training, which was I would stop talking about it. I would stop forcing it. I would show them all kinds of faith. I would just say, you know, well, looks like you'll manage your body. And just treat it like any other accident.
So how do you treat accidents?
Yeah, so because they're at school, this tells me that they've already got quite a lot of motor skills. So I would teach them how we clean up, which is usually a little bit messier than if you go to the toilet, because you probably had some smear. So I would probably have wet wipes in the bathroom, and I would show them how we, you know, plop the stool into the toilet and flush that away, how to wipe ourselves up clean, then where do dirty underwears go, you know, then maybe they need to be wrapped up or put in the hamper in a soak bucket, whatever your household traditions are around soiled underwear. But once you've trained them, then they're expected to really look after that on their own.
Right.
It's not really, it's between them, their bum, the diaper, the laundry pail. Go do that now.
Right.
And what you find is without the anger and without the forcing compliance and nobody kind of caring, it doesn't really get any mileage. It's sort of it's a waste of time. You know what I mean? It's like, now I'm in the bathroom alone. Nobody cares. Nobody's mad. I could be out there playing with people. Everyone else is having fun. I could be on the iPad. Now I'm like dipping my pants.
Yeah, because the advantage is gone.
There's no use. The utility is gone.
Right. So that question came from somebody who was just talking about accidents.
Yeah.
So, but this one gets into a little bit about what you're talking about. How do I get my 7-year-old daughter to stop pooping her pants? She has a sensitivity to gluten and also cannot feel when she poops. So when she does, it sits in her underpants, but she won't do anything about it and denies that she's done it. We tell her, okay, I think we need to go to the bathroom now, but she insists that she didn't poop, yet it is visible that she has and everyone can smell it. I'm at a loss and feeling frustrated. So first question you had, infuriated. This one's frustrated, but still, and there's... I love when people provide detail for the questions because it gives you insight because there's other issues.
Right, right. And, you know, and I have to say that even though what I like about our format is that, you know, we get quick little question, quick little answer, the theory is really robust, and there's a lot more in this particular case going on. So she's got the gluten piece, which is a biological piece, but then there's also the psychology behind it. And what you know, she's lying. She says she doesn't have to. Like, this tells me much more about the child's, what we say, lifestyle, which is sort of like personality. You know, like, what mischief is she up to that she is doing this? And where else might this manifest in her life? You know, what trajectory is she on that she's... So I would definitely say that a lot of kids will manifest power issues in pottying. We can look at the pottying issue, but I would just say, again, stand back globally. Is this child being micromanaged? Does this child have a sense of autonomy in their life in other areas? You know, do they get themselves up in the morning? Does she pack her own lunch? Does she have a choice of snacks? Does she clean up her toys after she's done playing? Like all those other things that say she has a voice, she has agency, that she carries about her life in her own way. I'm guessing that she is probably pretty micromanaged and is not held responsible or accountable for a lot of things. Okay. And so now we're just seeing one situation where that becomes problematic around pottying. So these kids tend to be embroiled in something with their parents. So increase her power in other ways, warm up the relationship, because kids are much more likely to cooperate with people that they have a sense of goodwill towards. But if you're feeling like your parents are always defying you, or you know don't see you love a brother better, you're not going to want to get along. You're going to want to stick it to them in some way, and pottying is a good way. So I would look more at the global functioning of the family, but certainly in this case, don't set her up for a lie. Meaning, don't say, did you go to the bathroom? Because she's going to say no. That's her game. So why set her up for that? I would just simply say, you need to look after yourself. And if she goes, no, I didn't go. What I say is, you can't really speak to a child about them and what they should do, but you can certainly speak to what you're willing to do. Say, well, you know what? Do what you need to do or don't do, but I'm unwilling to be around that smell. So then you move yourself away. And eventually they're going to realize, I can't come to the table, I have no one to talk to, and you're not putting them in solitary confinement, you're not trying to be rude, you're just simply saying the conditions by which I'm willing to be close to your body is one where I don't also have to smell fecal matter. So change or don't change, that's up to you, but if you'd like to be social, that's a requirement of being social. And eventually, again, then the usefulness of it, she's not, outsmarting her parents and whatever, and she'll see the benefits of actually changing her underwear, which is she gets to be around people.
And there's no power struggle either.
Well, it'll dissolve the power struggle. You're dropping the rope. There you go. Got that one.
Alyson, how do I deal with a child who is 4, who is very constipated and holds her bowels until she's in pain? The doctor has given us stool softeners, but I just want her to stop holding and go.
Yeah. So yay to the doctor for the stool softeners, because that's going to have lots of water, lots of activity. It's stool softeners, those are all things that are going to help create a condition where you're not getting the compaction that's going to be the problem. What's likely happened is she probably held. It might have been, kids will often hold for a couple reasons. Again, if they feel they're being forced, they'll hold. Sometimes kids hold because they're just really busy and active, and the natural time when like a wave of peristalsis would start to happen, but they're too busy playing with, and don't want to miss out, and so they hold and override it, and then it gets dry. Then when they actually do move it, it's painful, or it creates cracks, and then now they have pain associated with going, and the minute you have an association between pain and going, you're more likely to hold. Just like if you have sensitive teeth and you don't want to drink a big sip of cold water, you're like, ugh, you can anticipate there's going to be pain, right? So now it's a self-fulfilling problem. So hopefully the people that don't have that problem yet, don't have a painful bowel movement. Just keep things moving along through those natural ways. But now she's got pain already associated with it. So I'd want to step in a little bit more, where I would actually make it part of our daily routine. We get up, we get dressed, we sit on the potty, and when I say sit, I don't want to force kids, but I might make sitting on the potty interesting, where I might say, hey, let's sit on the potty, wait for our bodies to see what it's feeling like. Sometimes it can't tell right away. Sometimes it takes a few minutes. So let's sit and just have our morning storytelling time on the potty. So that it becomes that after meals, first thing when you wake up, these are common times when the body would naturally move their bowels. So you're trying to kind of strategically aim for those kind of times. And the idea is that if you sit and you're distracted and you're busy with something else and you can give it some time, then maybe things will kick in, rather than waiting for the child to actually show signs of having to go.
Right. There are a lot of kids too and a lot of adults who don't like going in public.
Oh,
right?
I'm so glad you brought up the adults, because we talked about it. It's so good to know we're not adults. You need to talk about your bowel movements more with your friends. Wait till you find out how many. Because when I talk about personality, you know, people, their personalities express in their toileting, in their sex lives, in their little food, idiosyncratic, whatever. Like, your lifestyle is your lifestyle. It permeates everything. And you can bet if you're a type A controlled person, you are probably more likely to be constipated than somebody who's, babies in the family are a little bit more loosey-goosey. And they'll be loosey-goosey.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, and you're right. Some people they don't want to go in public. They don't want people to hear. They're worried about the smell. And people get all kinds of rules. And then they can train their kids into being kind of, uptight about things, because they're like, oh, don't touch the toilet. And now you got a kid going, what's so bad with germs?
It's one thing to teach potty training, then you have to start teaching hovering. Like, there's so many elements to.
Oh, yeah. Yes, my daughter was potty training on a long road trip, and if you've ever seen gas station washrooms in some of the United States interstate highway systems, frightening.
Yes.
We're still alive.
Write a book. Write a book on that. Another question. Hi, Alyson. So glad the show is back on the air.
Thank you.
Yay.
Good to be back.
I am just about to start potty training my 2.5-year-old girl. Is there an Adlerian way? I know we've already kind of talked about this on a whole, but I wanted to kind of bring it back to the idea of knowing, because we've talked about so many different situations. Yeah.
So just the broad strokes are, they take the lead, you follow them. That you're going to wait until you see signs of readiness, biological and psychological, and train them for all those independence pieces. And then what I would say really quite strategically, buy a potty chair and have it around, so that they're probably going to sit on it in the bathroom with their clothes on. They'll put their doll on it, and you'll start talking about, you let them watch. There's a lot of conversations. You can buy books about potty training. So like, a lot of that is training, but nothing is really actively happening. It's just the idea of it is there. And eventually at some point you'll say, like, hey, do you want to try using the potty? Or maybe they take off their clothes to go into the bath, and you say, do you want to sit on the potty? At some point there's going to be like the miracle day. We're like, look at that. So you kind of wait for those first things, or you notice their face. If they say, I just peed, you go, you know your body, you know when you've peed. So then you kind of keep moving it back, and they're starting to do kind of the little pee-pee dance. You're like, you know your body. Look at how you're jiggling. You can tell that you're holding a pee. You really know your body. So you just keep working it back until they're actually like anticipating and asking to use the potty. Right. And some days they will, and some days they won't. And sometimes there's going to be accidents that we clean up, and we just keep a really positive, just like spilling milk, we just look after it. That's how we look after it. It's no reprimands, no big rewards, no punishment, just a natural process that we're going to follow. Just keep a positive attitude about it. And if there's a whole bunch of accidents and you find that you're letting them wear underpants, but they're accident, say, you know what? Freedoms and responsibilities need to go hand in hand. So if you're trying to use the toilet and running to the bathroom and you have an oopsie, that's okay. But if we're not interested in trying, because they'll just stop taking an interest, that's okay too. It just means we need to go back into diapers and put them back in a pull-up for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and then give it a go again. And that's okay. That's just part of it not being linear.
Right. We have a few minutes left. We didn't talk about kind of the accidents for older kids, or, regression, or those types of things. Any comments you want to make?
Well, I mean, a doctor won't say that you really have an issue until 7, and those kids that generally tend to be in the 7s and the 8. Because, especially for night wetting, because there's...
and that's good. That's good for people to know.
Oh, yeah, right? because there's actually a hormone, and you can ask your parents how old they were when they were dry at night, because it can be quite late for some people, and it's a certain hormone that reduces your kidney functioning at night, and until you really have that going, you're going to have a hard time with night dryness. So a doctor isn't really going to be too worried about anything going on until you're about 7. And even then, he's going to ask, did you ever have periods of dryness? Are you completely incapable? But a lot of times what I see in my practice is that these people that are having accidents or pooping or having skids or whatever, it's usually, it's like organ jargon. They're using this as a way of creating some kind of protest about something that really resides in the relationship. And so it's really not a pottying issue. It's more like cursing, right? Like, the thing is, they're mad at their parent about something, and yeah.
Organ jargon.
That's a good old, Adler was around in the 20s and he has like social interest, organ jargon, all these weird little psychobabbly things. But like I'm trained in that and it comes naturally to me. But it's true, right? If you're nervous, your eczema will flare up. Like the mind and the body are connected. So that's your organs jargoning you about your stress.
Yeah. I love that. I'm going to work that in. Okay. I encourage everybody at home to work organ jargon into their sentence.
But even like people that are like, feel like they have the weight of the world on them, they'll sit like this, like as if literally like Atlas is on their shoulders. Like it's amazing how we really do. It's fascinating to me.
Right. We want everybody to obviously watch The Parenting Show.
And all of the episodes.
Yes.
We've got many.
Yes, on Rogers TV Georgina. And right across, we have right across the province, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Ontario, we're all watching. So hello to everybody and thanks for watching this show. There's lots of places that they can find your information. So I want to make sure that we give them the information. Yeah, and obviously, rogerstv.com is the first place to go. Yep. Where else? Your website?
Yes, I have lots of resources on my website. Yeah, so I have a blog, I have videos, I have a whole resource page that has lots of references to other Adlerian books, materials, things for teachers, people with special needs, whatever. So there's lots of information there. And as well, I just, good old Google. If you just type my name, which of course has the weirdest spelling with the Y and the whatever, but Alyson Schafer, and then put in whatever your problem is, put in whatever your question is, it's going to take you to one of my resources. And whether that was me quoted in the Globe and Mail or Huffington Post or my own website, I think that's probably the best way to get pointed to more Adlerian information anyways.
Perfect. And certainly they can also take a look at your books.
Please take a look at my books. Yeah. So they're all through my website. I point out to different places people can buy them. But Breaking the Good Mom Myth was my first book, talking about all those misunderstandings that we think we're doing in the name of good parenting that are wrong. Honey, I Wrecked the Kids is sort of my big discipline book in terms of misbehavior and what to do about it. And then the quick, easy solution book is my last one, Ain't Misbehavin', or if you only have time to read one page, but you just need a solution to one thing, you got a picky eater, read page 56, and so it's really quick, which is great for busy parents.
Very good. That's great. Thank you.
Good to be with you again.
Nice to be with you and nice to be with everybody at home. It's certainly a great opportunity to be able to connect with parents and let them know, as we said at the beginning of the show and throughout a lot of the shows that we do, that you are not alone. Check out rogerstv.com for information about all of the episodes, because lots of different topics. But for now, thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you next time.